Hello and welcome to the channel. So this is my match reaction to Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 2. I'm gutted, and I bet you are too. I expected more from today. I mean, we're fighting for a top 4 finish, and now it looks like we could be outside the top 4 come, say, about 9:30, 9:45 UK time tomorrow evening. We'll touch on why that is in a few minutes, but first off, I wanted to let's go through the stats for the game first before we talk about players and all the rest. So, shots on target. You'll understand why Newcastle United thoroughly deserved that win. So Newcastle United shots on target 22. Sorry, shots 22. Man United 6. Shots on target, Newcastle United 6, Man United just the 1, and it was a really weak Anthony shot before he got taken off early in the second half. Possession, yeah, okay, it's one stat. 54% United, 46% Newcastle. Passes again, so 404 for United, 344 for Newcastle. Pass accuracy, okay, we picked them there, 80% to 77 to 76. The most telling, obviously, the most important stat is how many goals, and we lost 2-0. But what does that do to Man United's standings in the Premier League? That is the most important question that, you know, if you've not looked at the league table yet. So we're now in 4th, played 27. 50 points. So why could we drop tomorrow into 5th? Well, Tottenham, who've played one more game than us, yes, they've played 28, so tomorrow they'll play their 29th game. But tomorrow night, they play Everton. Neither side has the greatest of form, but you would suggest that if Tottenham are in 5th, and they do score goals, that they could overcome or beat Everton tomorrow night. So if they win tomorrow night, that puts them on 52 points. So it pushes them into 3rd, Newcastle down to 4th, and Man United to 5th. Which is, if you think about it, it's fine margins. Football is a fine margins game. And I just don't think any player other than De Gea turned up today. I thought it was a particularly disgraceful performance. Not just from the players though. I mean, this will be slightly controversial. I don't really expect many of you to agree with me. But I think Ten Hag got some of his decisions wrong today. And we'll touch upon that a little later in the video. So if you thought this was going to be a typical Man United performance where we don't turn up in the first half and then Ten Hag makes some changes part way through the second, and then we come strong and we end up beating the team, which is, you know, it's been our kind of modus operandi like through a lot of this season. But today, I just don't think the man in charge got made right decisions. I mean, for me, playing McTominay and Sabitzer in midfield together was a poor choice. Sabitzer, I always felt, needed more of a chance. We need to see more of him, and today we saw, you know, most of all the game from him. But McTominay, we know what he offers, and it's very little. So to put him next to Sabitzer, neither are really big ball winning players. They don't retain possession well, and that led to that kind of Weghorst not being able to get in the game. Because Newcastle were able to overrun Sabitzer and McTominay. They couldn't get the ball, they couldn't hold the ball, they couldn't get it to Weghorst, who could then do his kind of distribution thing that he does. He's a distribution striker, but not today. I'd say he just couldn't get the ball. And talking from Newcastle's point of view, you saw it in the first half. Saint-Maximin on the left, and then on their right as well, they were giving our fullbacks. So Shaw was having a bad game, Dalot was having a terrible game, getting caught out being overload, succumbing to overloads because no one was supporting them. It felt like backs to the wall early on. It really did feel like that. And you were just looking for a spark from United. I thought that would come from Bruno Fernandes. Well, I hoped it would come from Bruno Fernandes. And it just wasn't one of his best games. It was a poor... He too, he was having to drop deep, help out in defence and help try and bring that and spring counter-attacks on Newcastle, which early on we had one or two, but throughout the game, really, they just didn't materialise. Moving on to Marcus Rashford. Rashford did supply a nice ball over the top for Fernandes at one point. But again, it came to nothing. If you didn't know this, Rashford's 3 goals away from scoring 30. If he scores 30 this season, he would be the first United player to have done it since Robin van Persie in the 2012-2013 season. So 10 years we've not had a player score 30 goals in a season, which is incredible and just as an indictment of the lows that United have suffered in the last decade. So yeah, I'm gutted about this game, but it's one game, and over the course of a season, anything can still happen. There are enough games left. We can still finish top 4, but we don't want to be relying on the results of others to help us finish in top 4. We need to take a commanding position. I spoke in one of my other videos about how we can't control games. We can't keep possession. That rotation of the ball from left to right, make an opposition chase the ball while we have it. It's almost like a few of our players aren't quick thinking enough. And if you go back to the time of Ollie, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the manager, that kind of, not quick thinking, but the solution was to play it backwards all the time, or play it horizontal. Like McTominay likes to do. He likes to, he doesn't look ahead of him, he looks who's behind him and he'll pass it back, or he'll pass it to the left, or he'll pass it to the right. And he's doing a bit of that again today. He wasn't... Yeah, I did see a couple of times when he did make a few good runs with the ball, but you're never too sure. I'm almost certain actually that there was never going to be any outcome from whatever he did. I don't get me wrong, I'm not a McTominay hater. I just don't think he's a Manchester United player, not the quality we need anyway. At most he's a bench player, and I'd have started Fred every day over McTominay today, and I think that's one of Ten Hag's mistakes that he made today. Moving on to, let's say, Wout Weghorst again. I felt a little sorry for him today. He couldn't get into the game. He was hassled. Newcastle did a good job on him, really. They completely marked him out of the game. They gave him no time. When he did get the ball, he had absolutely no time. Really, it just looked, from a team v team point of view, that Newcastle's players were just up for it. They had the drive and the determination to overcome what many pundits were saying were their frailties, that they really had no real backbone and they can't score goals. So that was for Newcastle United fans, today was a massive positive. Unfortunately for us Man United fans, it was an absolute disgrace. I'm kind of lost for words. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to make this video because I don't like to be negative, but what can you take from that game? If you can think of any positives from that game, please let me know in the comments below. In a previous video I was talking about Sabitzer, and I wanted to see more of him because it's been rumoured that he wants to stay at the club. He wants United to buy him, although it's possible that Bayern Munich won't allow that to happen. I've seen him play bit parts in previous games, but obviously today he played majority, so we were able to get a good look at him. And I wasn't overly impressed at all, in fact. I think he goes down too easy. He's not strong on the ball. Maybe he needs to build a bit of upper body strength. It looked like no matter who it was in the Newcastle side, that they were stronger than him, and in fact stronger than a lot of United players in general today. I mean, Bruno was going down all the time, and I touched on it, wasn't one of his better games. So about Sabitzer, do I think he should stay at United? Based on today's game, no, I don't. Although I don't think he was given a good canvas to work with, but for lack of a better word, a good canvas to work with. As in, if you've got McTominay next to you, you know your work rate has to be probably double what it normally would be. Because McTominay, for me, was a little lazy today at times. And that led to the central midfield area at United almost being non-existent. We were getting overrun throughout that game. And so for that reason, I personally think when Casemiro comes back, we should or continue to play Sabitzer for the next few games, but play him alongside Fred, but make sure you don't start McTominay. Put Fred on with him from the start, with Sabitzer from the start, and let's see what that midfield duo can do together. Or, like I've said in previous videos, put Shaw left side of central defence, put Malacia left back, and bring Martinez as a defensive midfielder. Do that. I mean, he's played midfield before, and I just don't think McTominay as an option works for United. I don't know what he gives us. Can you? I know there's some people out there who like McTominay as a player. I mean, there was people saying because he scored a couple of goals against Spain in the week that he should be a striker. Not going to happen. And Ten Hag in his pre-match press conference actually said, I think it was addressed, that people asked him, would you ever use McTominay as a striker? And he said he sees him as a midfielder, and that's how he'll use him. So we can put that argument to bed. McTominay, I don't see him as a good midfielder, and he definitely isn't a striker. So moving on to Martial. Martial came back today, as you say, he started, and I've got to admit, some of his touches were classy. But again, because of the pressures in midfield, at times he was having to drop really deep to get the ball. And then looking ahead of him, I was thinking, well, where are you going to go with that? You're not going to run 3/4 length of the pitch. And who's there to support you? You've got no options through the middle. And you're either going to, you could put it out left, pull it out right, but then you've got to bomb it up pitch and get ahead, to create options for whoever you're giving the ball to. But there was none of that today. We were absolutely useless. But a positive, Martial came back. Let's hope though that he's not going to be out for 3 months more now. Played a game, out for 3 months. He's very injury prone. And he did go down from a tackle, so we were all, oh my god, he's down. Maybe we're not going to see him anymore. I don't know. So next, let's talk about Ten Hag. I've already touched upon. I don't think he should have started McTominay in midfield. He should have started with Fred. And at half time, in my notes, I wrote, which basically I'm not using. I mean, we don't want a blow by blow repeat of the game. There's no point. We all watched it. We know the result. But yeah, Ten Hag. So he shouldn't have started with McTominay. He should have started with Fred to put a bit of energy in there. And then at half time, I was thinking, so he's going to make changes. It was clearly obvious he needed to make changes into the midfield area. And so I just assumed he'd do it. And then, so when the second half started, I thought, no changes. But what's he doing? Okay, maybe he's give a bit of an half-time team talk, try to, rally the troops and get them to up the level of the game, the intensity. But no, it's the same second half. I mean, Newcastle come out and they're obviously at us again, and then there was a little bit of a lull, and then we're getting like past the 60th minute, and he's not making any changes, and I was so shocked. And then to make the changes he made so late on, to actually then take Martinez off, take Varane off, put Palestri on and then Fred into midfield with Sabitzer. It was just too late. There was no way we were going to affect that game that late on. Newcastle had just, from a mental point of view, they'd won that game. We'd been on the back foot for nearly 90 minutes. They knew it, and they could smell blood, and that's it. They don't think there was any coming back from, even at 1-0 down. It didn't look like we were putting up any fight, and to have one shot on target throughout the whole of the game. I think that's the lowest United have had this season. So 6 shots, 1 on target. We had no shots on target in the first half, so that shot on target was the second. Like I mentioned, it was Anthony. Match reactions. So let's have a look at some comments. I'm going to read some comments out. Here we go. So, where do we start? So, that was our, sorry about that, there was a bit of a technical issue, so I had to pause the video. We're going to read out some people's comments on Twitter, so here we go. The first one is from Stephen. He says, Weghorst must not start anymore. He can't play for Man United. He isn't good enough for any Premier League club, let alone Man United. It's a disgrace he's even wearing the shirt. If I wanted someone to press from the front, I would rather have gone and got an athlete. Wow, so that's quite... And this is why he's saying that, though. He's backed it up with some information. So it's showing a little kind of screenshot of some stats from Sky Sports. So it's touches, the fewest touches in the game. So Weghorst had 7, Nick Pope 15, Marcus Rashford 22, Alexander Isak 23, and Scott McTominay 25. So Wout Weghorst, from all the time he was on the pitch, from the first minute to when he was subbed off, 7 touches. Wow. Rory Talks Football. I've been trying to tell people that Man United aren't guaranteed top 4 whilst they're still fighting in every competition. That's true, we know that. We haven't got the squad depth. And, even if we had no injuries and Casemiro wasn't injured, we were always going to struggle to be in all these competitions and do well in them all. Yeah, we won the Carabao Cup, but, for me, we're still in the Europa League and we're still in the FA Cup. But for me, the Premier League is the most important thing. Finishing in 3rd or 4th is crucial. It's crucial for attracting international players who are used to playing in top competitions. So imagine we don't finish top 4 next season. The Qataris come in and buy us, or whoever else, but we're not in the Champions League. Will that lead to us having to kind of almost bribe players with lots of money to come and play for us? What does that mean? And then what you're getting then, mercenaries. I know lots of footballers can be considered mercenaries by some people, but you know what I'm saying. So, moving on. Wow. Our away results, the top 9. These are top 9. So August 13th v Brentford, it was that horrible 4-0 loss. October, Man City, we lost 6-3. November the 6th v Aston Villa, we lost 3-1. January 22nd against Arsenal, we lost 3-2. March 5th v Liverpool, it was the big one. And then today, 2-0. So, yeah, since we won the Carabao Cup, these have been our Premier League results since winning that. So, Liverpool, we lost again, lost to them. Drew against Southampton, and now lost to Newcastle. So, this is our current run. Our current run looks like this. So last 5 games, 1-2, lost 2, drawn 1. So we're not on. We're falling off form a bit. We're coming out of form. And Ten Hag's got to do something. Ten Hag's got to do something. And the key for me is always Casemiro. I mean, he's one guy, yes, and we don't want to put too much of a heavy weight on his shoulders, but we need him, and we need to make sure, he needs to learn that refs in this country don't allow. He just needs to be more careful and not fall foul to more cards and then more suspensions. So let's see what this is what Gary Neville had to say. Won't be a second. He did an interview after the game, and this is what he had to say.
At the start of the season, after those first couple of games, this is where Manchester United would be. You'd snap your hand off. With the squad that they've got, you'd say, Europa League, got a trophy in the bag, FA Cup semi-final and in the top 4. That's brilliant, well done. I think you can still say that. But there are more emerging signs that away from home at the big grounds where you need to really turn up and you need to show that you've got that sort of, if you like, that spirit, that fight, and also the courage to play and have the quality to play. There's more evidence that they're not good enough in these types of matches, but they can still go on and have a very good season. Manchester United have responded many times to defeats like this where they've been well beaten today. Let's be clear.
Yeah. So that's what Gary Neville had to say, and yeah, I have to agree with everything he says. We were well beaten, and there does seem to be a issue with playing away from home against big sides, and we struggle. So Ten Hag today just couldn't get the best out of the squad. What do you think? Moving on, let's have a listen to the Newcastle dressing room and what Eddie Howe had to say to the Newcastle United players after the game. Listen to this.
For me, we get what we deserve today because of how we trained the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, our actually applications to everything we've asked you to do has been top. Very, very pleased for everybody in the room. We move on because we've got another game very, very quickly, so make sure we're professional next couple of days and we try and get this feeling again throughout the week. 3 games, 6 days, big ask.
So, obviously he's thanking his team, telling them to be professional and move on because there's more games to go. I just want to know, I'd love to be a fly on the wall now and listening to what Ten Hag had to say to his team, because ultimately I do think that he has as much to blame today for that loss as the players who just didn't turn up. And I know that's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but that's what I believe. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please smash a like. Please subscribe if you don't. And I'll see you next time. Moving on, let's have a listen to the Newcastle dressing room and what Eddie Howe had to say to the Newcastle United players after the game. Listen to this.
Okay, guys, we've got for me, we get what we deserve today because of how we trained the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, our actually applications to everything we've asked you to do have been top. Very, very pleased for everybody in the room. We move on because we've got another game very, very quickly, so make sure we're professional next couple of days and we try and get this feeling again throughout the week. 3 games, 6 days, big ask.
So, obviously he's thanking his team, telling them to be professional and move on because there's more games to go. I just want to know, I'd love to be a fly on the wall now and listening to what Ten Hag had to say to his team, because ultimately I do think that he has as much to blame today for that loss as the players who just didn't turn up. And I know that's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but that's what I believe. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please smash a like. Please subscribe if you don't. And I'll see you next time. Moving on, let's have a listen to the Newcastle dressing room and what Eddie Howe had to say to the Newcastle United players after the game. Listen to this.
Okay, guys, we've got for me, we get what we deserve today because of how we trained the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, our actually applications to everything we've asked you to do have been top. Very, very pleased for everybody in the room. We move on because we've got another game very, very quickly, so make sure we're professional next couple of days and we try and get this feeling again throughout the week. 3 games, 6 days, big ask.
So, obviously he's thanking his team, telling them to be professional and move on because there's more games to go. I just want to know, I'd love to be a fly on the wall now and listening to what Ten Hag had to say to his team, because ultimately I do think that he has as much to blame today for that loss as the players who just didn't turn up. And I know that's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but that's what I believe. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please smash a like. Please subscribe if you don't. And I'll see you next time. Moving on, let's have a listen to the Newcastle dressing room and what Eddie Howe had to say to the Newcastle United players after the game. Listen to this.
Okay, guys, we've got for me, we get what we deserve today because of how we trained the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, our actually applications to everything we've asked you to do have been top. Very, very pleased for everybody in the room. We move on because we've got another game very, very quickly, so make sure we're professional next couple of days and we try and get this feeling again throughout the week. 3 games, 6 days, big ask.
So, obviously he's thanking his team, telling them to be professional and move on because there's more games to go. I just want to know, I'd love to be a fly on the wall now and listening to what Ten Hag had to say to his team, because ultimately I do think that he has as much to blame today for that loss as the players who just didn't turn up. And I know that's a bit of a controversial thing to say, but that's what I believe. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So that's it for this video.